AI models can now process 1 million tokens of context. That's roughly 750,000 words, about 10 full novels in a single prompt. So the obvious question is, why are we still building complex RAG pipelines to retrieve information when we could just dump everything in? Today I'm going to show you the math that proves RAG isn't just alive, it's more critical than ever. And if you're building a product without understanding this, you're either burning money or delivering a terrible user experience. Let me give you a quick timeline. In 2023, GPT-4 launched with 8,000 tokens. That's about 6,000 words. Then Claude came along with 100K. Google's Gemini pushed it to 1 million. And now in 2026, multiple models support 1 million token windows. So the argument goes, if I can fit my entire knowledge base into the context window, why bother with embeddings, vector database, chunking, re-ranking, all that complexity? Just stuff it all in and let the model figure it out. It sounds logical, right? And for some use cases, it actually works. But for production AI products, especially ones serving multiple customers, the math tells a very different story. Let's talk money. This is where the just use long context argument completely falls apart. Here is a real example from our product at FrontlineHQ. We build AI chatbots for local businesses, HVAC companies, dental offices, restaurants. Each business has a knowledge base, their services, pricing, hours, FAQs. A typical business has about 50 to 2,000 tokens of knowledge. With our RAG pipeline, when customer asks, what are your hours? We retrieve the 3 to 5 most relevant chunks. That's about 3,000 to 5,000 tokens of context. The total cost per message is roughly 1 to 3 cents. Now, if you stuffed the entire knowledge base into every single message, that's 100K to 200K tokens of input. At current API pricing, that is 50 cents to $3 per single message. Now multiply that across real business. If you're handling 500 messages per day across all your customers, which is modest for a SaaS product, here is what happens. With RAG, $5 to $15 per day, that's $150 to $450 a month, manageable. With full context, $250 to $100, with full context, $250 to $1,500 per day, that is $7,500 to $45,000 a month on API costs alone before you pay for servers, database, and your team. If we used long context instead of RAG, a single customer's API cost would exceed their subscription fee on day one. That business model would be impossible. Cost isn't even the biggest problem. Latency is. When you send 1 million tokens to a model, it doesn't just instantly process them. The model has to read through all of the context before it generates a single word of response. This is called time to first token, and it is the single most important metric for chat experiences. With RAG, our pipeline takes about 500 milliseconds to retrieve and re-rank relevant chunks. Then the model gets 5,000 tokens of focused context and starts responding to under 1 second. The total time to first word, about 1 to 1.5 seconds. With full context stuffing, the model needs to process 100K to 200K tokens before generating anything. You're looking at 5 to 15 seconds before the first word appears for a chat widget on a business website. Think about that from a customer perspective. They type, "Are you open on Sundays?" into a chat bubble, and nothing happens for 10 seconds. They're gone. They already called your competitor. Harvard Business Review found that responding within 5 seconds makes you 21 times more likely to convert a lead. Every second counts. RAG gives you those seconds back. Here is something most people don't know. Giving the model more context can actually make it less accurate. There is a well-documented phenomenon in AI research called lost in the middle. When you give a language model a very long context, it tends to pay strong attention to information at the beginning and at the end, but the information is buried in the middle, gets overlooked. Google's own research from 2023 showed that model performance degrades significantly when the relevant information is placed in the middle of a long context. This has improved with the newer models, but it hasn't been eliminated. With RAG, you're doing the opposite. You're finding the 3 to 5 most relevant pieces of information and putting them right at the front of the context. The model doesn't have to search through 200,000 tokens of noise. It gets a focused, relevant snippet and generates a precise answer. At FrontlineHQ, our chatbot test shows 96% accuracy with RAG retrieval. That's because every question gets the exact chunk it needs, re-ranked by relevance, no noise, no distraction. Now, I'm not saying long context windows are useless. They're incredible for the right use case. Long context is perfect when you need the model to analyze an entire document, like summarizing in a 100-page legal contract or finding patterns across a full year of financial reports. You need the model to see everything at once. It's also great for maintaining long conversation history. If a customer has been chatting for 20 messages, you want the model to remember the full conversation. And it is useful for code analysis, understanding an entire code base to make architectural recommendations. But for retrieval, answering specific questions from a knowledge base across many users many times per day, RAG wins on every metric: cost, speed, accuracy, and scalability. The smartest approach isn't RAG versus long context. It's knowing when to each one. At FrontlineHQ, here is what we actually do. For chat messages, RAG retrieve 3 to 5 relevant chunks, keeps cost at the pennies per message, responds in under 2 seconds. For conversation context, long context, include the full conversation history so the AI remembers what was discussed. For a very small knowledge base, skip RAG entirely. If the business has less than 10,000 tokens total knowledge, we just include everything. No retrieval already needed. For document analysis, long context. When the user uploads PDF for a training, we process the full document. This hybrid approach gives us the best of the both worlds: fast, cheap, accurate response with chat, and full document understanding when we need it. If you're building AI products, the takeaway is simple. RAG is not dead. The 1 million context window is a powerful tool, but it's not a replacement for the intelligent retrieval. Use each tool where it shines. If you're a local business owner and you want to see this in action, an AI chatbot that answers your customer questions accurately in under 2 seconds, check out FrontlineHQ at frontlinehq.ai. We offer a 14-day free trial, no credit card required. If this is helpful, hit subscribe. I'm going to be posting more content about building AI products for real business, not theoretical stuff, but actual engineering decisions that make a break product. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.